Good Saturday afternoon, Chameleon Academy. Welcome to this Saturday Chameleon Workshop. And if you're seeing this as a replay, just know that you can be here live with everybody here in the chat, and we can sit and talk about chameleons together live, and you can ask questions and I'll answer them, and we'll just banter around because that's what we do. So, hey, good morning, hey, James. All right, James, been thinking about you. We need a releasing of the fog. All right, I've got it going, and so we'll let the crowd shuffle in, and then we'll do a releasing of the fog that's worthy of you. Nate, welcome. Tony, hello. And now we're asking Tony if he's going to be packing because Tony and Geraldine are getting ready to go to Madagascar, as am I. And so, hello, Leander from Belgium. And Carson, hey, we're going to be talking about you, Carson. Hello, Nancy. All right, everybody. So it's been a long day for me already. I actually, my two parsons that I've been looking for new homes have found their new homes, and actually it was somewhat local, so I was able to hand deliver them. Unfortunately, if you can believe this, I got lost, and I got really lost. And when you get lost on some of these freeways, there's no turning around when you're going through the mountains. And so James, I was heading towards Bakersfield. And why? Well, number one, I've done this route countless times. I know my way around, but today everything was socked in by fog, and so I literally missed the correct freeway. So I've been up since 3:00 this morning, and it's been quite a journey, but I'm happy. Denmark, I'm sorry, Leander. Denmark, thank you very much for that correction. So, hello, Holly and Marcia and Renee. I'm sorry, Leander. It's Jurgen that's from Belgium. All right. Get this through my head. Hello, CNC Tortoises. Lee, hello. What? Wow, you're at another expo. Hello, Javi. Bill, exactly 1 month to Madagascar from today. Oh, that's right. It's going to be in a month. All right. And James says, I mean, it's the 101 the whole way. Yeah, but I got to get to the 101, man. And the fog is going to be worse on the 101. So I thought I'd be clever and take the 5 as long as I needed to before I got to the 101. And that only works if you don't miss the 101. If you continue going, it's pretty ugly. So, all right. And I am going to be drinking my specially brewed iced coffee from my Neymar's mug. That's right. Special limited edition because membership has its privileges. So I think that's Cuervo, correct? Do I got the name right? That's Cuervo, and that's Marcia. And that's the feeder cup. Oh, hey, that's me and James. So, having a good time here. Let's see. Oh, hey, we've got Konstantinos from Greece. Hello. Carson says, I need a Madagascar trip in my life one day. Yes, you do. I will not argue that. Everyone does. It's an experience that you don't realize how freaking cool it is. I know you all think, yeah, that would be cool. You are so right, but you don't know how right you are. Oh, my goodness. And let's see. You know what, guys, we're going to be talking about today? Javi says, you have the dates for 2027 or when you guys return. Okay, for those of you who are interested in Madagascar 2027, when we get back, probably around February, we'll start for the getting deposits and for people to figure out and put in their space. So this is something to start thinking about now because February is going to come soon. And I mean, we have limited space. We've got a small trip this time because literally there were so many unrelated medical situations where people had to drop out. So that was not normal. But just think about it now. It'll be in January. It'll be somewhere around like right now we're going from the 13th to the 29th. And so it's going to be somewhere like that. And it's going to be a 2-week. We are talking about, I will be talking to Patrick about doing a little bit of a different, changing things up a little bit. There's a couple of species that I want to see if we can snag. So there may be a little bit different, but it's going to be pretty much 2 weeks around that time. And so I start thinking about it now because it's going to happen. It's going to be time to commit very soon, relatively soon. So, Bill, will you be initiating your own coup during this Madagascar trip to perhaps take over the government and install emergency chameleon rule? Tutorial Tom, that was a confidential discussion I had with you, and yes, there is a position for you in my cabinet. All right. Nate is saying, Bill, is Blue the Parsons your only Parsons now? Yes, Nate. He is. He's my only Parsons. Now, I am seriously considering, getting a female for him. So he may not be my only one soon. He's an old man. He's been around for a while. So he was bobbing last year, so maybe he's still in the breeding mode. We'll see. But I think I'd like to breed Parsons once in my life. Well, actually hatch them. I've bred them before. I've gotten eggs before. They were infertile. So I need to actually hatch Parsons chameleons to complete my experience of the life cycle. I know doing it once is not it does not give you godlike insight, but it is it is a major milestone. So I'm thinking I'd like to do that. So, okay. Nate, Bill's getting James, you don't have to encourage the things I encourage you to do. What the heck? All right, so everybody, I think enough people are here. It's time to release the fog. So I've actually just turned on the lights here. Our day in my area here starts later than everybody else's. So, okay, there we go. There we go. That's got to be okay, James. Okay. I know it's not like sick pea soup fog coming out. See, James is a little bit of a fog snob. He makes the Fog Father the most incredible foggers. Now, that's a great DIY project. I actually, on this one, I am using the Exoterra fogger. It's relatively new, and I like this one. I like it better than the standard. Let's see, do I have them here? I either like the standard ones you get off of Amazon, which have worked well, but once again, they're just cheap offshore. And so when they fail, they fail. I really like this Exoterra one. And I love that it's coming from a quality company. The one thing you got to watch out for is the tubing. It is heavy. And so you have to support that thing or else it's just going to fall off. But, fogging question, James. Oh, hey, you got a fogging question? Oh, I have a Leon on a cheap 12 head fogger. Is that one massive? Yeah. Yeah, you're gonna have fun with that one, Tom. If it's the heads like we're talking about from House of Hydro, because you get some good stuff on that one. Let's see. You'll have so much fog, you will literally fog your entire house with that one. Yes. 12 heads is going to be an incredible fogger. Hey, Ben, welcome. Hello. Oh, all right, everybody. Today we do have a topic. I'm going to add this to the stage. First, the reason for this topic is Carson has succeeded in reproducing or getting eggs from his Kinyongia bomi. I'm not sure exactly how to pronounce that, but we'll work with it. And he's been working very hard on this, and we're all very excited because he's such a very cool chameleon. But he presented the question: where's this going to go? It's everybody loves breeding. It's fun, and breeding your favorite species is great. But eventually the question comes to you, well, what now? Where's this going to go? And are you going to find a little niche community to start breeding? Does it make sense to breed when wild caughts are coming in so cheaply and it's an obscure species? So these are very important questions. They are also questions that don't have very easy answers. And so I'm going to spend today talking about all of that. And I'm going to bring up a bunch of species that we have available to us. In some manner of speaking, we're going to talk about each of those species as to how good of a breeding project it would be. Not how good it would be. They'll all be good, but what the challenges and benefits of each species are. So we're going to talk about that. And to the stage, there's one of my yellow giant females that found a new home. She's so cute. So let's talk about the standby, the ambilobe panther chameleon. So this is the tried and true. They're easy to breed. They're colorful. The one problem with panther chameleons is, number one, lots of offspring. Then again, that's for a lot of chameleons, but also there's a lot of people breeding these. And so you're going to find that you're able to hatch them pretty easily, but then selling them is going to be a challenge. And let's start off. Everybody here is going to say the words, I'm not doing it for the money, but I'd like to break even. Something along those lines. I'm going to turn that on its head. You have to be concerned about money. And if you want this to be a long-term project, if you just want to do it for the first time, that's fine. You're going to lose a lot of money setting up infrastructure and all that kind of stuff. That's fine. This is not meant to be a job. This is meant to be something you love to do, a hobby. So it doesn't matter if you don't make money the first time. If you say, hey, I want to maybe contribute to the community. So the first one is I do my first one. That's for me. That's for my pleasure of this is really cool. And I've got a bunch of baby dragons. Believe me, I get it. That is an amazing experience. And when you're ready for it, I encourage you to do that. But then when it comes to, so that's all about the experience. You've dumped a bunch of money in it, but hey, how much money do you dump into getting all the new ski equipment so you can go sliding down a mountain? All right, same thing. So what happens when, oh, hey, my goal one day when I have to come back is Senegalensis. All right. So, and James is words of wisdom here. Yeah. So, but when you start to think, maybe I can do this and actually contribute to the community in the form of offering a species that isn't offered. So that's when you start to have to start to think about the dynamics. If you are producing all of these species, and even if you try to go crazy and say, I'm going to do unrelated bloodlines, well, now you have at least 2 clutches a year that you've got to sell of a species that isn't widespread. And so you've got to start thinking about the dynamics of how much am I going to dump into this? How am I going to market this species? How am I going to essentially establish a market for this species that may or may not exist? Yeah. So give me a second. I say things and then I go check the chat. Okay, wait a minute. Is it here? Here. Lee is saying we bred Ambato locale panther chameleons way back in 2010, trying to draw attention to the different locales around Umbanja. It's not a different species, but an odd locale, and they were unfortunately very difficult to sell. Yes, yes. As for the purposes of this discussion, species, locale, subspecies, even morph, those are the same, have the same challenges. So very good insight. And I think the reason we have so many species established in Europe is because most people breed because they like the species and wish to spread it. They don't breed for supporting themselves financially. There's a number of different things that are different in Europe, but you'll also find that there's anyway. We'll get into the European situation sometime later. There are different dynamics between the U.S. and Europe, and it's not necessarily attitude. So we have the most common the most commonly thing available, and that's the antelope panther chameleon, and it's common because it's like the most colorful thing in the world. And it's rightfully the most common. It's hardy and it's colorful. This is like the perfect starter, and you could easily spend your time 100% with panther chameleons your entire chameleon career, and you'd be happy and you'd never get bored. So that's why panthers are so great. But then again, there's a lot of people selling it, and so it becomes, if you're working with the antelope panthers, it becomes an effort of, why am I the breeder to go with, instead of why is this species the species to go with? Okay, so that's why this is different from some of these others. But then again, we've got so many different locales of panther chameleon, like this one's Nosibe. Lee brought up the Ambato. You're going, Ambato? What the heck's an Ambato? Yeah, there's a lot of locales out there. And the problem is when you say, just for example, Ambato, people don't know what an Ambato is. And so if you're going to think about doing a rare locale, which is a great idea, by the way, but you have to go into it realizing that you're going to have to spread awareness of what an Ambato, what a Ankarame, what a Mastola, all these different things. What is it? And the thing you've got to realize with chameleons is there's so many very cool chameleons that just having a different chameleon isn't a selling point, because there's a lot of different chameleons out there. So you need to think about this when you're starting way at the beginning. And believe me, I have spent years, decades, thinking about how to establish different species of chameleons. And a number of you have been on some adventures with me as I've tried to experiment with that. I've learned a lot, but I've also learned about market forces that are very difficult to deal with. And you see what I'm trying to do with the shamrocks. I am coming at it fully aware that, as cool as the species is, most people don't know about it. And so there are a number of things that I have deliberately put in place long term to plant the seeds for this species long before I even breed them or reproduce them. And if you're really serious about a species, you got to think about the 5-10 year plan. It's not just I'm going to hatch these out. It's a long-term thing. So Javi says, are there any other species that have colors similar to the panther? Not really. I mean, there's other colorful species, especially like some of the female first furs when they're gravid. But as for just sitting there on the branch saying, hey, look at me, panther is by far the king. Shamrock Project, very excited to see. Yeah, me too. Hey, me too. And really, Lee, and since you've been around and you've seen the community grow long enough to have perspective, what's going to be very interesting is to see not just the species reproduce, but how the community around it grows or doesn't grow, or the dynamics in the awareness of this species. That's really what's going to be interesting to see how this goes. Oh, how about the veiled chameleons? We love veiled chameleons, and they're so way too easy to breed. And that actually is the downfall of the veiled chameleon. We have them all over the place, but the fact is that they are mass produced, and it just isn't. If you are, as a private breeder, you're going to be breeding veiled chameleons, they will eat you out of house and home, and they will eat their you will getting them up to the age where they're really good to be able to go to a new home. They will have eaten more than you can, and then you can get as far as cost. And so it is unfortunate that such a great chameleon is relegated to being mass produced. So this is one of those things where it's going to be so difficult. Even awareness is going to be really tough to make a market for these for a private breeder. Obviously, they're everywhere, but the awareness of a veiled chameleon raised up in an enriched environment, you have to be a well-known name in the community to be able to pull that off. If you just breed them, the problem is you'll probably sell 10, but then the other 30, 50, however many you had, will have to go wholesale, and that probably just break your heart. That's the problem with these guys. Doesn't Morph Market and access to almost a continent of people make selling chameleon babies easier? You would think so. Kind of. The problem is that the people using Morph Market, it's still difficult to sell an entire clutch of a new chameleon, because people going to Morph Market often are looking for panther chameleons. And so they're looking through all that. They may see, hey, wow, what's this? A brevicorn, a Malthae. And there may be some that buy just because it's interesting and it's fun and it's different. But the problem is you're not going to be able to sell 30 that way. And this is a huge problem with chameleons. We get 30 babies. Not only 30 babies, but say around just generally 15 females that don't show the colors. And so what do you do with those 15 females when everybody wants the male? So Morph Market and classifieds like that are a great way to reach the general community. But unfortunately, it just doesn't, it reaches a level of community that are not as sophisticated in the chameleon arts. And so you still have a bit of education to do, but it definitely, I wish it were an easy solution. It just hasn't proven to be. So yes. I hope the promotion awareness goes crazy and becomes very sought after. Oh yeah, I'm trying. Yes. I looked up information about the commercial veiled producers. Yes, there you go. It's a whole new. It's a community that is separate from the chameleon community. Okay, I'm not even going to bring that up, James. All right. How about the morph? And the morphs of veiled chameleons, like this translucent, have a chance. So the problem is that they still produce. It takes skill to produce 30 babies. It's very easy to produce 60 babies. The veiled chameleon totally turns everything on its head. If people go off and start, the people who don't really have chameleon experience is when they brag about how many veiled chameleons they bred. Because if you're in the chameleon community, you realize the challenge is to breed healthy numbers of veiled chameleons. And if you overfeed or overheat, they are going to just produce 60 to 100 eggs when they should be producing between 20 and 30. So that's the fun thing. If anybody starts bragging about how many veiled chameleons they bred, they don't know what they're talking about. That's a little insider knowledge here. We want small amounts, but you just got to be very careful. And the real skill is to only get 30 out of them, and which means you got to cut back on food and not give them all the heat that people like to give them. Just because they survive these conditions doesn't mean it's proper husbandry. There's a little tidbit. Oh, Lee, I'm very interested in learning more about this. Maybe even more than just a couple of comments here in the chat. I think I'd like to talk to you about this and learn more about that project. Did it fail because there just wasn't enough people interested? I'd love to learn more about what you experienced and the dynamics there, because every time somebody in the community tries to establish a species, and all of that knowledge is critical information. I've tried it a number of times, and so very interested in your experiences. Oh, what about the Jackson's chameleon? Everybody remember the Kenyon Jackson's Kenyon Xanth project? That's where I brought in a shipment of gorgeous Xantholophus from Kenya. And we had that was my first attempt to do so, establish a species with a community. And boy, did I learn a lot about how community is very difficult. It's easy to get people excited. It's difficult to maintain a community. And this, just a little inside, this is what I'm working on with the Shamrock chameleons. I'm actually working on establishing that foundation community harder than I am working on actually reproducing them, because I know it takes years. It takes so much to build that foundation. And so even though I'm trying very hard to reproduce them, I'm not weeping and gnashing my teeth, because the more I can produce create a solid foundation of community, the more likely that it will survive long term. This is one of the hard lessons I've learned over the many years of trying to establish species. Whew, the things that are important. Anyway, yeah, you know what? Anyway to see an Ambato on screen. I'm going to see. Let's see if I can, give me a second. I should be able to do this. No problem. So, although honestly, Let's try this. Give me a second. I'm going to bring up an ambato. Going to try. I have to, okay, so this is, the difficulty is to verify that what I'm bringing up is actually ambato, because, honestly, I wouldn't, I am not proficient enough in the obscure locales to be confident that I could identify. Oh gosh. I'll have to have Lee tell me if this is confirm. Let's see. Yeah, I'm on the madcam.de site, and it's not being helpful as far as getting something. So Ranger the most. You know what? You're going to send me okay. Lee's going to send me a picture. I'm going to go check. I very rarely check email while I'm on a show. I never do, except in cases like this. We got to put up an ambato. So Ranger. All right. Yeah, I've heard that name, Ranger. Bye, Megan. That's my daughter going to D&D because that's what she does.
We're saving a port town this time.
She is going to be saving a port town this time. All right. Okay, I am not seeing it just yet. I will check back in a little while, and we're going to see an ambato. So, oh, maybe I can do this. Eddie's Rainforest Ranger. There we go. Oh no, wait. Okay, is that let's see, Lee, do you have any ambatos on your Ranger? It says he's an Umbanja. Let's see. All right, we're going to figure this out. I'll go on with some species, but we're going to figure this out. And at the very worst case scenario, I'll have it all set up for next Saturday. So. All right, Carson's asking, why do chameleons have had such a hard time selling for good money? Well, there's a ton of snake species and monitor species to go around for unreal money and a lot more established. I will give you a surface level answer. First of all, the snake and monitor community are larger. Also, they don't. Okay, you know what, Carson? I'm going to have to be very careful how to answer this because I haven't looked into those other communities to be able to really compare. I do know that our problem is cheap imports. Cheap imports and way too many choices. Now you'd say, wow, well, the snakes are a lot of different species. Yes, but snakes have, like, there's the ball python community, and then there's people that are into colubrids. And so there's different communities within the snake community. And we have just one community of people that have to choose between so many incredible species. So I don't know if that's a fair comparison, but that is the problem in the chameleon community, is that like your little, the Bomi, it's such a cool species, but why would somebody purchase one of those instead of a bifidus or a Jackson's chameleon or a panther chameleon? We have so many chameleons fighting for attention in our heads that it's really difficult to extract out interest for one particular species. I mean, that's a challenge. I don't have an easy answer other than some of the things. Okay. He says it was sent in Facebook Messenger, so let me go over there. All right, guys, I have a picture that I will be able to. Give me a second here. There we go. There's an Ambato. Ah, gorgeous chameleons. Love it. So. And oh yeah. This is true. Level of care. Chameleons take, it's more difficult to do a chameleon. And although I don't, it requires a different level of a person and different level of dedication. That's very true. That's very true. He says nature just much easier to work with. You actually have to know what you're doing to keep chameleons, and there is a definite level of truth. I know I spend a lot of my time is spent just trying to communicate the basics in the Chameleon Academy. Just because there is so much. I mean, it's not a boy, we're the elite keepers type thing. We just happen to love an animal that takes a certain level of care. And I know I didn't choose it because it was difficult. I chose it because I was in love with it, and I accepted and figured out how to do it because I loved it. So the barrier to entry is higher for chameleons. Although I will say I am surprised at how difficult it is for our community to grow. Our community is definitely growing, but it doesn't grow at the rate that others do. It just seems strange to me that we seem to have, as chameleons become more and more accessible and information becomes more and more accessible, you would expect that it would expand the community would expand at the same rate, but I don't think that's happening. And I don't know why, because I mean, it's not like, okay, it's an acquired taste. You see a chameleon and wow, that's the coolest thing ever. So it's an interesting dynamic. And Constantino says you can care for many snakes in the time you take to care for one growing chameleon. This is true. An adult chameleon doesn't need much compared to a growing snake. Yeah, of course I have a lot of Outer Fringes episodes, and when I talk to people like snake keepers, they're saying, you guys are crazy. Why do you spend so much with everything you've got to do for one chameleon? You're crazy. So yeah, that tracks. Could the community growth be hindered by the advanced keeper's bias toward against veiled? I don't think so, because any ugliness that is in the advanced community, unfortunately, and I'll say unfortunately, the community growth doesn't know about that. The community grows at the beginner level, and then they discover the advanced people once they get part of the community. And that's why we have so much trouble with bad information. So yes, I don't know. I don't think the ugliness against veils, which is so unjust, is hindering our community. To me, it's the chameleons are very hard to care for. You hear it all day at the expos. Okay. Yeah, it could definitely be it. All right. There's the Machacos Hills Jackson's chameleon. Just an incredible species, but I'm very surprised that it has not risen to a level of prominence that I really think it should. And right now it's readily available, but it just there have been people who've really wanted them, but not enough. And that this is actually surprised me. It surprised me a lot of these species have trouble being established. Carpet chameleons, incredible choice. And so this is a question that Carson was asking. He's saying, with the Bomi coming in at such a, by the way, you guys know what a Bomi is? Let me see. We need, let me go. There we go. There we go. That's what we're talking about. Look at that incredible little guy. There we go. So the question, yes, this is Fred from Nate Rowley. And the question that Carson raised, and he gave me permission to, that I could talk about our conversation, is he loves this species, but if they come in like at $100 a chameleon, he can sell them for maybe $200. Is that really enough to have an extended breeding project? And for anybody saying, well, we're not doing it for the money, eventually, if you have an extended breeding project that goes for years and years and years, you have to gauge, you have to somehow have it pay for itself. And it's not enough to say I'm not doing it for the money, because eventually, you could do it forever and ever, but you'll very soon say, hey, you know what? This just really isn't fair. I've got all these people paying less than it costs me to produce. So I'm being a chameleon charity and doing good works for the community, and getting that little pat on the back, oh, you're so great, only goes so far. And what happens is, not because people have moral failings or they care only about money, is you get tired, because dealing with the public is difficult. And you sell somebody a chameleon for $200, well, they're expecting the same kind of customer service as they would for an $800 chameleon. And so you're spending a lot of time educating and helping people understand the species and troubleshooting. So eventually you start thinking, wait a minute, why am I doing this? And people get burned out. I've seen so many breeders that are in it just because they love it. Well, they love it as long as it's fun. If they're actually making money, well, it's easier for it to be fun long term. So for those of you considering breeding and saying, well, I'm not in it for the money, that's great for your first clutch. If you're going to continue doing it, just know that very soon you're going to burn out. And it's not because what you're thinking is that, well, I'll keep doing it for the community because the community will love me and love it and be appreciative. No, they won't. I hate to say this, but right here in the Chameleon Academy, if what you know about the community is this little island of the Chameleon Academy that you experience in the virtual campus and in this chat, that's not the whole community. And so it's not going to be always pleasant. You're dealing with people. And so there's got to be something that really is a purpose for you in doing this, and putting up with dealing with humans. So, all right. Carson says they come in at $50 now, wild caught. And I think you could sell them for $200, but along with that would have to come an enormous amount of marketing and awareness. You'd certainly have enough people that are excited. You've got enough seeds for a community, But to establish a chameleon like this, we would need many years of sustained awareness for this to become a species that broke even. So Carson was saying, hey, I love this species. I want to work with this long term. Is it worth putting in the effort to build a community, even a small niche community around this species? Or do I just go to carpet chameleons, which can be sold for $200, $300? And this is, oh, congratulations, Tom. You got the 12-headed fogger. And then the Machacos Hills Jackson's an amazing species. Wild Caught Market is so cheap, the demand for captive bred hasn't been promoted. Yeah. And the thing is, there's enough of a market, enough of community that values captive hatch, captive born, that they will pay. So you will sell your first 10 at a sustainable price. It's the other 20 that's the problem. Carson's eggs has Fred bloodline. Oh, okay. Oh, very cool. Let's get back to that decision, because I'm coming to the end of the show. I'll probably, you know what? Well, I'll probably just bring up the same slideshow next week as well, because we haven't even gone through all of the slides of different species. So let's continue this conversation next week. But let's talk about that question. Do you make your species decision, the ones that you work with, based on how much you can make money on, or based on which species you love? And let's take this, let's evaluate this seriously. There isn't an easy answer to this, and it isn't as simple as, oh, you only care about money. Come on, guys, let's rise above that kindergarten thing that statement's thrown around like a club trying to like knock people down. Money is important. Okay, let's just all accept it because it is true. It doesn't make you a horrible person if you want to break even. It doesn't make you a horrible person to say, hey, wait a minute, I'm spending $100, $200 and my time to raise this up. This should be valued by the person getting this at least $300. That's not caring only about money. I mean, somebody wanting a captive hatched Boomie at $75, that's them caring only about money and not about the value of what you've got. So let's just, I just want to throw that little you only care about money thing out the window. We're not even going to consider it in this discussion. Making money is important. The question is, really, how long are you willing to maintain your clutch while it takes for the time it takes to sell? And if you've got a rare species, you need to be willing to keep that clutch for 6 to 12 months while you are actively spreading awareness and trying to sell. I mean, I saw Craig show up in the chat here. I believe he's got like 40 Parsons hatching. And so I don't know, and I won't speak for Craig because I don't know the inner workings, but I am guessing that he's not selling 40 right when they're ready to go. He's going to have to keep these guys. Parsons grow slowly, and they're a high ticket item. So the market, although they're very popular, the market isn't like everybody sitting there ready right away to buy it. So that's a case where you got to keep these chameleons around. And, you know, Parsons, they grow. And so you've got to keep them longer, and then they grow, they become big, and they eat a lot. At least with the Bomi that we've got right here, they stay smaller, and so it's a lot easier. So the question really is not the money thing; it's how long can you hang on to them while you're waiting for the customers to come? And if you have to sell them at 3 months, then you better have an established name in the business and a customer base coming to you, or else that's not going to happen. And it's going to be a very stressful situation because the chameleons are going to outgrow your cages before you're able to sell them. So that needs to be taken into account. Now, what would I recommend to Carson, who's asked this question, who's in the chat right now and is wondering, what do I do? 20 Parsons and 20 Globifer. I don't know how much you're selling the Globifer for, but I'm betting it's going to be at a point where now he's got to hold those for long term. So anybody's holding 40 chameleons, you know that's a whole lot of time and effort. And when we talk about prices of chameleons, how many people here actually clock in and say, I've spent this many hours into this baby, and if I am getting minimum wage, I now have to charge $1,000 for this baby. I mean, that's the way it goes. Thoughts if quotas lowering would help too? I don't. The condition, the import status of a chameleon doesn't matter until it's no longer imported, and then everybody wants it. It's a rarity thing. And so lowering the quota, unfortunately, isn't going to help. So what would I say to, once again, to Carson? I would say, stick with the species you love, and obviously do whatever you want to, do whatever is right for you. You know your situation, but switching to a chameleon that brings in more money makes it a business. And yes, switching to carpet chameleons means you can charge more per chameleon. But it also isn't a sure thing. I've got somebody who's emailed me who wants to get out of carpet chameleons. So anybody, if you want any captive hatch carpet chameleons, I've got a guy who would like to give you, sell you his stock. So email me at bill@chameleonacademy.com. I'm serious right now. I've got a line on captive hatched carpet chameleons, and you can go talk to them and probably get them from a good price. But here's the thing. Remember that keeping chameleons is a passion project. It's a hobby. The whole idea of making money, there are some people who are making money, but look at what they're doing. They wrap their entire lives around breeding chameleons, and they've optimized it. They have businessified it, and it's been a lot of work to do that. We as individual, and me, I know exactly how to do that. I could do that. I don't do that. And most of you listening right now, watching, aren't going to do that. We are hobbyists. And I think I would advise that you come at this from a hobbyist perspective and say, this is the species I love, and so this is what I want to work with. Make your passion to learn about this species in depth. And that's what I've done, following my own advice with the shamrock chameleon. I am dedicating all of my efforts to that. I may do a clutch of Parsons, but other than that, I'm going to be focusing on the shamrocks. Okay, I may do a clutch of Bifidus because I got shanghaied into Bifidus. So obviously I don't have a black and white approach to this, but long-term, I'm dedicated to the shamrocks. I am going to put together care guides, websites, breeding material, and all of that. It's going to be a research project for me, and I am going to dedicate 10 years to it. I've come out right out and said, to myself, this is my 10-year project, and I'm not going to get distracted with other things. And I am not adding a financial component to that. I am going to take it as it's going to be a money pit, but it's going to be something that I love. And so I'm not even going to produce a ledger and say, this is how much I put into it and this is how much I'm paying. And so, Carson, I would recommend to you that if you love this species, that you stick with it. You become part of the nucleus of the community that will grow over the next 5 years. Have a 5-year approach to this. Nate's working with this species. So you will eventually have people that will coalesce around you and say, hey, I like this species too. After a while, you have a strong group of about 5 breeders. And honestly, it doesn't take more than 5 breeders to really have an impact. And what you're going to find, because if you've been listening to what you're saying, yeah, but I need a community of buyers, not breeders. Yes, you do. The thing that happens if you get at least 5 people together that are working together, not competing with each other, but working together, you start creating the nucleus of a community, and people will start wanting to be part of that community. And so they may join you, not just for the species, but because there's a community of people who are working together for a project and having fun. And you will find, here's the secret, Carson and everybody else. And I believe this to be true. Obviously, I am still learning. I believe it to be true that with all the chameleons and as cool as they are, people care about community. That's what they come for, not the species. And so, Carson, I'd encourage you, start saying, hey, not that I'm going to breed a chameleon, but I'm going to start a community and have a 5-year plan. And of course, this is my passion. So I'm there to support you in this. If you're going to put down roots with this species, I'm going to support it. I'm going to report on your efforts. I am going to give awareness to it. I can't give awareness to be integral to every species that's being bred, because that starts to get too much. But you're not alone in this. I mean, you're part of the virtual campus, so you've got a nucleus of people that are there to support you. And so if you're willing to do this long term and you just want to sit down roots and say, yeah, I'm going to lose money, then just do it. And the more people that become part of that community and that value this species, the more people are going to be willing to pay $250, even though they could get wild caught at $50. And what you're selling is being part of the community. You're not selling a lizard. So I'll go back and I'm going to start looking at the chat. I've been talking a whole lot. Okay. All right. Nate's goal is to get a Globofur. Globofur are so awesome. I have had Globofur before, and they are worthy of falling in love with. Oh boy, starting to get those teams going. Team Bifidus and Team Brevicorn. Oh yeah. Leah's saying, stick with the species you love and have a purpose and passion. Yep, I agree. And everybody, that also is the same for subspecies, locale, and everything like that. I mean, if anybody out here just loves pink panthers on Karami, the thing is, you can't just, in all of these, you can't just breed once and say, okay, where are my people? It's got to be a 5-year project. You just got to come at it knowing that when you do your first breeding and first hatching, there's going to be a certain set of people that are going to come and going to grab first, like say it's first 10, but they're going to be sitting back going, oh, well, that's cool. It's the second time you have a clutch, they're going, hey, maybe I ought to start thinking about this species. The third time you have a clutch, they're going, oh man, they're having fun over there. So, I'm just pulling these numbers out of the air, but think about the lines of you need 3 clutches before people say, okay, this is a species worth me being part of, because obviously it's going somewhere. We have this idea that, oh, I want to be part of a species that's going somewhere. Why? That's just human. So let's not fight it. Let's just accept that's the way it is. You need to show a presence. And so, Carson, I would encourage, if this is the species that you love, you be very happy with your success and look to get other bloodlines, and then grow out the community and have your goal in 5 years, you'll have a community. Yep. But I was a hobby of, I always love when James does his voice to text. It's always fun what comes out. Will this drive up the price of captive bred animals? We'll see. The demand for the species was driven by that's probably a said in context of something that I missed. You chose a beautiful species. Well, thank you very much. I love them very much. Oh, James was saying that I was a hobbyist, but someone talked me into breeding. James, you're just hanging out with the wrong crowd. I tell you, they're going to get you in trouble at every turn. He says, I've talked to so many people about your Shamrock project and how exciting. Oh, glad. Thank you very much. Yeah, see, that's the thing. We need community for it to work. The Shamrock chameleon it's a wonderful chameleon. Is it better than the Parsons or Globifer or Bifidus? We have so many incredible chameleons that it's really hard to compare species. We end up comparing communities. That's at least my working theory right now. Oops. Can't wait to be a captive hatch Shamrock. I can't wait to. Should we take a look at the Shamrock eggs? Everybody want to take a look at the Shamrock eggs? They're going to be going into diapods very soon. Once they go into diapods, we're not going to be seeing them too. Oh, I am very excited. Okay, let's see. I should, just for, let's go ahead and bring up the Shamrock. There he goes. There we go. All right. They're looking good. I know you can't see them too well. That's okay. Once they get out of diapause, and if they're still looking good, you'll be seeing them every show. And we're going to be doing an update. There's one egg that doesn't look totally calcified, but most of the others look good. All right. Cross my fingers. But here's an example of my philosophy that I've brought on. I've decided for myself is I've been working with Shamrocks for 3 years, and it's been frustrating. I've gotten some matings. I've gotten some infertile clutches. And so, I would have liked to have, I keep saying, well, it shouldn't be this hard, but it is. Kalumas are not simple. And so it's one of these things that it's a 10-year plan. And even if your chameleon species is a little bit easier to breed than what I've taken on, 5 to 10-year plan. Now you don't have to. You can breed just for the fun of it and then get out of it. But as anybody who has bred chameleons knows, the infrastructure you put in, the better the infrastructure you put in to raise the babies, the better of an experience you're going to have. So there is a lot that goes into raising up a clutch of babies. Yeah. Is the Shamrock from Ireland? No, Ben, but the poet that the species was named for was from Ireland. He was Irish. He lived in England, but he was Irish. And the colors are very, very shamrocky Irish. 5 dedicated breeders working on a project would be a great foundation for breed. Yes. And if you're able to trade between everyone, it provides a nucleus for a community. So, all right, hey, Flick, hello. Flick is from Northern Ireland and has not seen any shamrock chameleons hanging out there. The whole effort required to breed and raise chameleons and most animals is too tiring to target just from a money-making perspective. But it can be made financially viable if you want it enough. This is correct. It is a very difficult way to make money. You can make money, but that is a combination of you being a smart business person and there being enough of a market. And so, yeah, there's a lot of things that need to come into play, but it can be done. Obviously, people are doing it. Some people are, few people are doing it, but it can be done. Oh, yeah. Be very careful about using Frank as an example. Frank is incredibly good at what he does. It's like saying, emulate Brad Pitt. Yes, if you can, you will be successful. It will be difficult, and you have to know exactly what you are doing to be able to do what Frank Payne does. Yeah, he specifically turns his boat into the most difficult swells and has been able to be successful at it, but it's a risky way to go. That said, he has shown that it can be done. So that is a positive. So, Joanne, go and have a great weekend. Thank you for joining us. All right. I am going to rush through all the chats. I am sorry if I have missed your comment. I'm going to into pause too for about an hour or two after the show. We will continue this next week. Okay. We're going to continue we're going to go. I have a lot of species that we can still talk about. So we'll continue next week. Everybody, thank you very much. I'm going to send you all off into your weekend. Thank you very much for joining me here. It's been fun hanging out, and I very much would love to hear your responses. Some of the chat. This is a very intense topic. There's a lot of layers to this topic, and so the chat isn't that. I can't get a whole lot of depth with the chat, but give me let me know what you think. Bill at chameleonacademy.com. I'd love to hear your experiences and your thoughts on this. So everybody, thank you. Glad you had a great time. And so I'll see you. I'll be here on Tuesday for the question and answer session, and then back next Saturday. We'll pick up where we left off. All right, everybody. We'll see ya.